It's now called the Comelec, a play on the name of the agency, the Comelec, that is at the center of a controversy created by the leak of data it gathered from registered voters, personal data that has since been downloaded first by lulsec.ph and then leaked through a website that was shut down just this morning. That website, of course, was ominously called wehaveyourdata.com, which is why there is now quite a bit of apprehension. How did this happen? Are there repercussions? What has been done and what can be done? Those are our questions in tonight's election roundtable. Joining us, Vic Lorenzo, Executive Officer of the NBI Cybercrime Division, Carlo Ople, Director of the Internet and Mobile Marketing Association of the Philippines, and our JC Gotinga, CNN Philippines correspondent who's covering Comelec for us. So let's begin. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for being here. Let's begin. Vic Lorenzo, tell us first, and JC. Is Comelec confirming that this data, or the authenticity of all this data?
First of all, thank you for having us here. It's no longer a question whether the data was compromised or not. As we have seen in the website that was activated yesterday, there were really some voters' information that were compromised. Mm-hmm. And Comelec is not denying this.
They're not denying, but they're also not confirming. But several voters, I suppose, have told you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Have you checked, Mr. Lorenzo, have you checked if your data is there?
We visited the site and tested it in the search capabilities of the site, and some of the details actually matched.
All right, JC?
Well, the Comelec doesn't deny it. They wouldn't confirm it either. I was talking to James Jimenez, the spokesman, earlier today, and I asked him, can we categorically now say, given everything that's happening, that it is the Comelec's database? And they're saying that they haven't gone through every single piece of that database to confirm that it is a mirror copy. But he says, but we are not denying it. So they're not denying it.
Carlo,
They're doing a huge disservice by not saying how big of an issue this is. It's really huge because suddenly all of that information of the voters is now readily available for criminals, terrorists, hackers, literally the underbelly of society. Identity theft is one of the problems, yes, but you can also talk about, for example, you're a celebrity and they know your name and you're a voter. They now know where you live. Mm-hmm. You're a Filipino-Chinese businessman who values your safety, the safety of your family. Guess what? They now know where you live. So it's really much, much bigger, and the way it's being brushed off as a minor issue, as for somebody in technology like me, it's kind of infuriating in a way, because it's not being given the proper attention, the proper attention by the government and everybody else, because it can be a big problem in the next few weeks, next few months.
Okay, so apart from identity theft and these people knowing your address, where you live, what else? What are the other worst-case scenarios?
Well, identity theft in itself is already big. If they play their cards right, they can apply for cards or loans using your information, not just in the Philippines, because hackers are all over the world. For all you know, there's already a huge loan under your name in the US or in another country. You can, if the database is there, you can actually script it and query and find out who the OFWs are and know where they are. And identity theft in other markets, in other countries, is actually bigger. So identity theft is very big. Safety is also another another issue. But there are a whole lot more that you can also think. If you want the little more versions, they can hack your Facebook or your Google if you're not careful. So there are a lot of repercussions.
Yeah. The Comelec says the system that's going to be used to run the elections is separate. But yung Contradaya, the group that held the protest at the Comelec today, they're saying that I can steal the identity of voters, so actually it gives room for flying voters. I can come in and pretend to be someone else, vote in that person's stead. Okay,
well, let's move on. Apart from flying voters, people using your name to vote, etc. What about the sanctity of the electoral process, the voting? When you put your ballot into the VCM, the counting, the transmitting, the canvassing. Are we going a bit too far if there are people worried now? What happens now to our elections? Vic Lorenzo, can you jump in here?
Yes, ma'am. We can fully understand the fear brought by this incident. But let us remember that the transmission and the processes in facilitating the election is far different from the website maintenance of the COMELEC. And at the same time, ma'am, I know we can also fully understand that we are not comfortable when our personal identifiers are leaked online. But we were actually trying to study on how it could be used for identity theft. We believe that it is not enough if a scammer or a fraudster will need to use your identity. They need to gather more information about you as to your profile.
So the information that can be downloaded or had been downloaded from that website, hindi siya sapat para magkaroon ng identity theft?
We believe it is not enough. You need to further research on the profile of that individual.
Okay, very quickly, Carlo, then we have to go
I
to break.
disagree. Because it's as easy as if you know the parents' names, for example, what's the basic security question that everybody has in their Gmail, Yahoo, or Facebook? What is the maiden name of your mother? Then they can reset your email address. And that's readily available in the database. So suddenly, everybody's email address can be reset, just like that. So it's not a simple, or it's not like it's a big thing. It's really a big issue.
Very briefly, what else, Mr. Lorenzo, has or can be done by the government agencies to ensure that sensitive information will no longer be spread or accessed?
I can only
Or
speak,
can you really still do anything? Wala na.
Ma'am, I can only speak on behalf of the NBI and what we could do. We are already, lessons have been learned in this incident, and we are in constant coordination with other government agencies. So the vulnerabilities identified in the website of COMELEC will be patched. We are going to pursue and we're going to investigate further on some of the members of the group of the person of interest that we have already identified and arrested.
How many more people?
As of now, ma'am, less than 10.
Less than 10. And you got this information from the, you looked at his phone, right? Your report said that you were able to do a controlled live viewing of the subject's mobile phone. Is that where you got the info?
Forensic examination is still ongoing.
Okay.
But before the arrest of Paul, we have already gathered enough evidence or enough leads to identify
There was
some
an
members
informant who
of-
tipped you off, right? About where he was and that he was the one you were looking for,
In
correct?
investigating cybercrime, ma'am, we do not only go online, we also use human intelligence.
UMINT, right.
Human
Okay.
intelligence, ma'am. Yes.
Yeah. Can you tell us a bit more about that human intelligence?
Well, ma'am, once we profile a specific hacker, we look for common friends in the physical world.
Well, why did they squeal on him?
Ma'am, I wish I could tell you how we were able
yeah, maybe
to
I can ask them
convince
that.
him, yes.
Okay, JC.
Well, what I learned from James Jimenez a few interviews ago was that the .gov websites, which are basically the government websites, the web security surrounding them is not at an optimal level.
Which
Jimenez
means?
said, the more money you invest into your web security, the stronger the web security you're going to have. And he's saying that it's a budget thing, that it is not, the government can invest more. There's room to invest more in web security, and that's not being done. The assumption being that whatever is in the .gov websites, government websites, are public information anyway, and that's what they were saying when this news first broke out. Of course, they were denying that there was sensitive information. Thing was, they overlooked that there was a link to the database, and what we now need to do is check whether all the other .gov websites also have databases linked to them.
Carla, briefly, can you comment on that?
Well, I think
Not
first,
very good security for government websites.
well, there's definitely room for improvement. I think it being getting hacked already cast a shadow of doubt among everything else that the
Okay.
government will do, so that's a major issue.
Yeah.
But if there's one thing I'd like to address very quickly, it doesn't end with the apprehension of the hacker. It doesn't end with the website going down. Because at the end of the day, the data was downloaded. It's circulated. The hackers
It's
have
out
it.
there, like you
it's out
said.
there, and you can't
Yeah.
recover it. You can't.
Right.
Di mo pwede bawiin. It's always there, and the
Okay.
people who have evil intentions for that data
Yeah.
will always have it.
Okay, tell us very briefly, Carlo, for those who went to that website and inputted their complete whole name, first, middle, last name, are they in trouble because they did that?
Well, it can be, probably, because the hackers can probably confirm that you're an active user. So they can
Okay,
probably say,
okay.
this guy is active.
All right, so what can people do to protect themselves?
Well, there are several things they can do. Number one, the most basic, is they can reset all of their passwords and change it, because that's important. They can change the security questions of all of their accounts so that the basic layer of security for all the day-to-day accounts that you have are covered. Secondly, and I think the government can help here, there has to be an additional layer of verification for anything banking. So that when there are transactions that need to be made that involves changing details or transacting money, there's another layer. It can be a call or whatever, but there has to be another layer to make sure that people are more secure when it comes to their banking.
Okay, before we go to final words, Vic Lorenzo, hindi white hacker lang si Paul Biteng, right?
Obviously, ma'am, because he already violated the law, and at the same time, he hacked into a system without the permission of his system. In white hacking, ma'am, you need to have a contract between the facility of your client to determine the vulnerabilities of your system.
Okay, final words, and maybe you can give advice to voters, to people. Let's begin with Vic Lorenzo.
Yes, ma'am. I must agree with Carlo that it is prudent for us to reset all our password to monitor our accounts. But again, I must say that the compromised personal information is not yet enough to create an identity or assume the identity of an individual.
Okay.
Scammers and fraudsters would still need to gain some information about that individual.
All right, JC?
IT experts and even the COMELEC, they both agree and admit that we will have to live with this for the rest of our lives. There's no way to take back what's already out there. And anyone, yes, the data that's out there might not be enough to completely reconstruct your identity, but a little bit more creativity from anyone who might have ill intentions, and they can actually, this is already a big help for them.
Okay, Carlo?
Extra vigilance for everybody. All Filipinos have to be more vigilant, especially those who are already paranoid about their personal safety and security. But again, most importantly, I think that the government should play a more active role in dealing with this issue and informing people of what they need to do to be able to be safe. And that has to start with them recognizing that it's a big deal.
Thank you very much. JC Gotinga, Carlo Opel, and Vic Lorenzo. Maraming salamat. Thank you for being here, and thank you for joining us at the Election Roundtable.